Wat sal nou gebeur?
Vanaand lê ons hier. En môre kom die son op.
The story has just begun to fade away, but my heart has just begun to beat again. We are one, don't cross the line. Can we try?
Liewe Sylvia, ek is so bly dat jy die brief gekry het. En moenie verskoning vra vir wat jy geskryf het nie. Ek is so bly dat jy vir my vertrou. Weet jy, ek mis jou teenwoordigheid in my huis. Vir eens het dit nie eensaam gevoel nie.
Wat maak jy so laat uit met 'n cover my?
Die cover werk vir my suster. Ons het 'n laatfunksie gehad. En nou moet ek haar huis toe ry, daar in Katatura aflaai.
Karakokure no bandumbo ba pambo. Karakokure bekurera rukuru.
Ek was dom om te dink hy is nie soos die anders nie.
Is nie soos die anders.
Nee, hy is.
I'm crossing the white line. I'm crossing the white line. Hey.
Hello everyone, welcome to this new edition of the Talk Cine by Ayla. As you can see, today we are receiving a team from Namibia, the team from the movie The White Line. So we have the director and the producer of the movie. Hello, Desiree.
Hi, Rustan. Hi, everybody that's tuned in.
Okay. And also we have Gerly Shazama.
Hi guys, hi Rostan.
It's like that we pronounce it.
It's Yazama.
Yazama.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
So we are going to talk about the White Line. I've prepared some questions. We are going to talk about the movie, how he was made, and all the thing around the movie. So if there are people who are watching the program, they can also ask their question, and I think you will try to answer all of them. So I will begin with the first question. We are going directly into the topic. I think it's okay for you.
Yeah, that's fine.
Okay. Okay. So the film is based on a true story, The White Line.
No,
White
it's not.
Gold is not from a true story. Okay.
It's set in apartheid. I think Desiree, please explain.
Please.
It's set in apartheid, which is
Yes.
obviously when Namibia was part of the South African territory back in the days
Yes.
before Namibia got independence. So it's set in 1963. It's not based on a true story that happened between these two people. It's obviously inspired by stories that
Okay.
during the research that we've done that we also got from people, but it's not necessarily based on a true story. All of the characters and the scenarios in the movie is basically fictitious, but it's set in a time.
Yes.
that
But the
apartheid
period, the
was
period where the story has been is told is a real period. It's a period that exists already.
that did exist.
That is
It did
exist.
exist. Yeah,
Okay.
yeah, yeah.
Why choose that topic uh, instead of choose another topic? We are in a contemporary society. We have many other topics. Why that topic?
I mean, specifically, why we wanted to tell the story is, I mean, Namibia is currently, what, 32 years old now in terms of independence, 32, 31. And so we are fairly young. But then also at the same time, within just the history of cinema, there hasn't been stories told that dates back to, you know, the past of Namibia. So and there's a lot that happened. There's a lot that happened from, you know, the German colonization. There's a lot that happened from, you know, South Africa coming in. So there's a huge history that is completely left untouched or you know, where nobody, you know,
Untold.
visually or just, you know, where it just from the history books, which is also very limited, you know, so there's not much about Namibia's history. So that is something that we wanted to do. We wanted to tell a piece of Namibian history, and having to tell it from the German colonization would have been a bit further on and would have cost a whole lot more money. So for us, what was feasible at the time was to tell it a little bit closer to obviously the where we are right now, which was like the apartheid era, you know. So having to just sort of like tell a piece of that part of Namibian history, but we didn't want to tell the violent part of it. We wanted to just take a different angle because we share history with South Africa, especially from the apartheid era. We were part of South Africa's administration. So whatever apartheid applied to South Africa, it governed us as well. But they have already told a story from, you know, every other angle, you know, which is whether people are fighting for liberation, people are fighting against the apartheid, all of that stuff, which is all, you know, great and all. But we wanted to take a different approach, and then maybe tell it from a different type of fight, which was love, you know, and that's really why we chose to just tell the story from that period and tell a love story in that sense.
Okay. The film described an impossible love between a young black housemaid and a white police officer uh, in a country ruled by apartheid. Is it a symbol that no matter the circumstance, love always triumphs? Is it the thing you were trying to say?
Curly?
Desiree, you're the director. You directed. So please go ahead.
Well, okay, let me take it this way. Yes, in essence, we would love. I mean, it was it wasn't even a sense of like, okay, cool, like families saying no, you can't be in a relationship with somebody because of ABC. It was a sense of that it was engraved within the law at the time, you know, where it could cost you prison or, you know, or you could disappear at the time. So it wasn't a sense of like choice at the time or family members saying, no, you can't date somebody from that tribe or you can't, you know, or you know, or all of that stuff. But it was a law that was put in place. So yes, love can break barriers, but then having to fight a system, a law that is set in place, you know, even though, you know, you can't really choose and help who you love, having to fight a system, having to fight a law that is already set in place is a little bit difficult, even though you love the person that you're with so much. So yes, it was really just like, you know, that even despite it being an impossible thing at the time, even it being a sense of like within the law where it could cost you your freedom or it could cost you your life at the time, that people even then, you know, braved it enough to say, you know what, I love this person and I'm going to try and find a way to be with this person, and hopefully my love and my relationship would maybe inspire a change within, people's mindset, because as much as you change the law, people's mindset still needs to change. So it was sense of like, maybe, if us being the way, us loving each other would maybe inspire the next person to be like, you know what, let's just let these people be and let these people love each other. So yes, maybe it would change the law, maybe it would overcome, but then also at the same time, it was just people making a choice to be like, you know what, this is how I feel and I'm going after it, even if it costs me my freedom.
But I
Okay.
think also, if I may add on to that, Rostan,
Yes.
I think also the one reason, at least from my feeling, is also just for it to create debate, for us to have conversations about that time, because I also feel a lot of us have not necessarily healed from the traumas of that time. And I think also there's a lot of people still angry. I mean, if we're looking at the Black Lives Matter thing, movement, and still like the fact that racism in certain places within the country or even certain people are still, there's this segregation in terms of how we view each other because of our skin colors. So for us, it was just also, I think, a question of being able to, once you understand where somebody else is coming from, like shedding light onto, okay, cool, this is what this community is going through. Why are they going through that? You know what I mean? And just having a conversation, because I feel like from understanding, from having conversations about these uncomfortable things that happened in our past as a country, as people. I mean, our parents lived through that time. I'm sure certain people have lost people during that time. A lot of people died during that time. So for us, it was just a question of like, let's also let it be a reflection, somehow the end be a reflection of the new world that we would like to see, where it's okay for a person of color and a Caucasian being able to be together. Yeah. So it's debate. And I think from that comes understanding, from that comes forgiveness. Yeah. And hope.
Okay. So I will continue with you as actress.
Yeah.
How do we apprehend such a story to interpret? Because basically it affects our own identity, our own past. How do you get into such a role?
How do I get into character? Is
Yes,
that the question?
yes, that's the question.
Um, I think because of, with this, I think with any role that I have, obviously you look at the script and you build a background and a world for this person. Like, what is this person's strengths? What is their weaknesses? What is the overarching goal that they would like to achieve at the end of the day? And based on that, you also draw back from my own personal life experiences, and obviously also looking at where at times I observe people, I would watch people, I study people. But to be specific with this particular role, I had to learn to speak. I'm Herero, I'm Herero, but I couldn't speak Oshierero fluently. I couldn't read Oshierero up until I did the white line. So because of that, I spend a lot of time, basically 3 months preparing for the role, where I then had to learn. I went to learn basically from my script how to read my script, and then learning like the phonetics of it, and then also learning, okay, cool, why is it within where you basically sit and you break down the script, like why is this person reacting this way, because there's motivation for everything. And for myself also, when I would get on set, I think from the time that I'm picked up, I'm no longer girly. I become Sylvia. On set, I ask everybody to call me Sylvia. I kept a lot because it was a very emotional process. The whole acting, like I think for a week, I was just, yeah, I was in, I was in tears. So I kept a lot to myself. So based on the scenes that you're also doing, you prepare ahead of time. Before I come to set, I would prepare, like this is this is the role that I'm going to do. This is what I will be. This is what the type of emotion that I'm required to depict. And then obviously also listening to stories from our grandparents, from our parents, from people that lived during that time. How did women behave in that time? How did women speak? How did they carry themselves? And then obviously also shedding, because I'm not a very submissive person, so shedding, realizing that yes, in that particular scene as Sylvia, where my boss is calling me a kafir every other second, Girly would have reacted differently. But then I had to learn to, like, it's not about me, I'm living the life of this character. So it took 3 months for me to prepare for it, and then obviously we filmed it in 14 days. So it was quite it was strenuous emotionally, but it was a really beautiful experience where I actually realized also what unconditional love is. You know what I mean? Because if you're looking at Sylvia, despite what she went through, she wasn't a bitter woman. I don't think at the end. I don't know, Desiree, how do you feel? She still, for her, she still
Not at all.
believed the man that she was in love with also loved her, despite what she was being told. So that's where I personally felt like it's I learned how to accept the person that you love for who they are, with the flaws that they come with. But then also realizing that it's not always easy sometimes. And I'm sure for a lot of people, it's not easy to be with a person that you love. So that's what I learned, like unconditional love, because I think Sylvia loved Peter unconditionally. Yeah.
Okay. Uh, Desiree, how was the work with your actor and actress? How did you direct them? Did you
Ah,
are you listening? Hello.
Desiree,
yes, I can hear you. Well, I mean, it was. I mean, we obviously had a few. I mean, we had a few. I can hear you.
Can you hear me?
Can you hear me?
I can.
Yeah, I can hear
Okay,
you.
I was saying that was what was your process to work with your actor and actress on this particular project?
Okay, so can you hear
Yes,
me?
yes.
Okay. Okay, so because we had a limited amount of time to prepare, and we were going to shoot for 14 days based on the budget that we had. So even the pre-production before that, because we were doing everything else, we had a little bit of time for me to work with the actors, definitely to prepare for the rehearsals and all of that stuff. But I think once we sat down and spoke about what the story was about and what each character or each individual character was, I think I was fortunate enough to be working with actors who understood the magnitude of the story that we were telling, and then also who understood the characters and who went out to do the research. So it was easier with the time that we had, that we didn't because we didn't have enough time to sort of like go through individually, little by little, every step. So having to work with actors that really understood, their character, that understood what they needed to do and understood the story, it was easier then to just sort of like direct them, in what it is that I wanted to sort of like manifest in the different scenes and in the larger context of the story that we were telling. Is Rostand there?
Rostand doesn't look like he's there. Hello, Rostand.
Oh, here it is. it's back on.
Okay.
Hi.
Um, so, looking at the movie, we found some similarities with the American movie Loving, directed by Jeff Nichols and released in 2016. We have the impression that it's the same environment because Loving what it's a story during the period of racial segregation in United States. Um, did you watch the film, and did the film help you to in your writing process and in the creation of your own movie?
No, because also from our perspective, we
Not at
also
all.
had
Not at all,
we had
actually.
yeah, not at all.
Yeah.
We had segregation because of the apartheid laws as well. We had a law where people of different colors were not allowed to be together. So actually some elements of some scenes in the film itself was even inspired by a story that a gentleman whose parents, because I think his father was Portuguese and his mom was a Buster, I think from Rehoboth. And obviously, because of the two different colors, they were not allowed to be together. So it was actually because I think even Desiree's inspiration to begin with for the story was because, or at least that's the story that she told me, was because she was watching something in the States about the civil rights movement. And she's like, how come we also have similar stories? So why aren't our stories being told? And that's where she came up with the idea of the title, The White Line. So it wasn't inspired by Loving
Okay,
at all.
okay.
Yeah.
Desiree?
Yeah. But I mean, at the end of the day, segregation by whichever name, across the globe is still segregation, right?
Yeah.
Each country obviously had different laws, or oppression in each different country globally, whether it was race, black or white or tribal, whatever it is, it's still separation, it's still oppression, it's still
Yeah.
division.
Yeah.
So, and each country has its own unique or own story, and each people have its own experience of how that was for them, right? And a lot of the stuff that we have been able to witness and watch has been American civil rights movement, because it's been told from so many different ways and so many different angles, so that when we sometimes tell our stories, it always appears that we are copying or we are referencing somehow to that, because obviously they have resources, they've been doing this for a while. But I mean, across Africa, we also went through segregation. We all, at least we called it apartheid in South Africa and Namibia. I'm sure in Cameroon you something else, but you guys went through the same things, So yes, it might appear the same again, and I guess that's the unifying element to it, because it's you can sort of like for
Sorry?
English just left me.
What did you want to say?
This is the word in English just left. Like I can't remember the word in English, but I mean I guess that's how we sort of like can look, can watch, and sort of yo, girlie, help me out
Is it
here. The English
reference? So what
language
are you
just
trying to
left me right
say?
now. You sure?
What's the word? Is it reference? Is it
Yeah, I think reference. Yeah, I think. Yeah, we can. Yeah, that's how you can relate. Yes, sorry, that's the word.
okay? Okay. Okay.
Yeah, that's how we can relate to a lot of globally, because yeah, irregardless of of how it is and how it looked like, and how maybe in a different way it might look, we can still relate, because love is love and anger is anger. Doesn't matter where it is from the globe, or oppression is oppression. Doesn't matter how it
Yeah.
was
Yeah.
put upon a people. As we can
Yeah.
globally to different stories, but we also have our own stories that we are able
Yeah.
to tell now. At least we have the opportunity to.
Okay. The, the film deal with racial segregation in the colonial time, but until today, when we see around the world, we see there are always racial problems, and we have all seen what happened with the George Floyd case. What is your point of view about the evolution of um, racial question in the world today and about the specific situation in Namibia?
Well, I think from our perspective, racism still exists. I don't know what you mean in terms of evolution, because by just hating somebody because of the color of their skin, or killing somebody because of the color of their skin, or because you think you are a certain color, you think you are of a higher hierarchy, and that allows you to inflict your own archaic narrative or opinion on somebody else. Like that is everywhere in the world. So it isn't something that I'm not sure what you mean with evolution, because it's still a struggle that we are still fighting as people around the
Okay.
globe. Like
Yes.
there's now currently in
Yeah.
America, people are killing Asians.
Eh.
Like it doesn't make any sense. And I think the problem is, and that's why I was saying earlier, by making these films, we can then have debates and conversations about these things. And I think also these people that believe these, yeah, I'm gonna say archaic beliefs that they have regarding people, and how one is more important. It's like the George Orwell, like like in the book, what is it called? Animal Farm, you know? All pigs are equal, but some pigs are more equal than others. Like that doesn't exist in this reality, in this world, because so many people fought against it, so many people died for that, for us to be able to enter a space that we weren't allowed to enter as people. So this is something, it's a continual thing. I don't know when it will end, but it is a conversation and a fight and a movement that we have to continue as people of color, because for the next generation, like this has been something since we were born, this reality exists. And it even stems from, if we go back to slavery. So it's such a long, and it's still there. And I think also some of these things are generational things, because children are not born racist, they are taught to be racist. So that
Yes.
is the problem. So we need to change the mindsets of those parents, those people, break those generational stereotypes of what people are. I mean, there's even like the silly
Ideologies.
stereotypes, if, yeah, ideologies. And even if we go further than that, is if we're looking at how sometimes Africa is depicted by people outside of Africa. Like that's also, it's, so we still have a lot of work to do, Rostand. Yeah. But I think we are making great strides now. And I also
Yeah,
think
no, no,
because
I definitely agree.
technology technology has given us the power for us to be able to document and film these things and show the world, like, this is what you are you okay with this, are you not okay with this? And there's so many forms of discrimination that is still going on. It's like if we look at the LGBTQ plus community, like even in Namibia, like it's we have a lot of work to do overall as people. And actually we yeah, we are sick. We need, like, imagine just judging, looking at somebody and deciding because you are this color that
But
you
do
you
you
are
think that
nothing.
the situation is the same as 40 year or 50 year in the past?
Well, I wouldn't personally like to, because obviously everybody's experiences is based on your worldview, the situations that you found yourself in. I think right now people are just a lot more subtle. They are subtle. Do you get what I mean? It's like there's also a lot of pretense where people will pretend like, okay, I like black people because I have that one black friend or something. That's the silly things that you sometimes hear. So it's still there, and I think right now it's only been amplified a lot more because of phones, because of cameras, because of social media, because then the message can be spread far and wide. So I can't really say that it's
Yeah.
it's much better or it's worse. It's still the same. Discrimination from a racial perspective for us has been a reality for all of our lives. Like, you find it in different forms. Some people, like I said earlier, they are just a lot more subtle, but it's there. Because I mean, there's even discrimination within tribes, you know?
Yeah. I think
Yes, Desiree.
yeah. I think in also, yes, adding to that is that also, I mean, Becky, I mean, we can say it's a little bit better now because the law has changed, right? Back in the day, like when you watch the film, Salvia couldn't go in certain places. It was specifically designed for white and black, and so it was way more out
Restrictive.
there at the time, because it was the law, so people could just and they could walk down the street and say, hey, you kafir, like, what are you doing here? And it was okay because it was part of the law, and it was okay for them to do that. But now I think is in a way that because sort of like the law has changed, so like Gurley said, it's a bit more subtle now. It's still there. I have experienced racism. I have the last year, it's every single day, and you pick up those subtleness. You do. It might not seem out. It might not seem that way now, like, oh, but things change, because we go into a store all together, or whatever, sit next to each other. Yes, it has changed to effect, but the thing with which the laws, the people still need to change. Mindsets still need to change. The ideologies people keep passing from child to child, generation to generation, that needs to change for the overall racism or whatever oppression, for it to change. The people's mindsets, the people's hearts need to change, because we can remove the law, but I mean, if the person still sees that they are superior to the next than the next race, or they still feel more privileged than the next person, that becomes like a personal thing that person then needs to change. A community and then it spreads even more. Then you've got a community of people that think that way, even though the law has changed. But I mean, yeah, but racism is still here. It has never changed. It has never gone away.
Yeah.
Okay. We are going to some technical question about the how about the intimate scenes. How did you prepare for that? How was it shot?
Mrs. Director. Would you like to share? Or shall I?
The intimate, we have two really intimate scenes. Yeah, I mean, but I mean, from like a preparation perspective, that's like you were mentally prepared and had to prepare for that. But I mean, from a technical point of view, is like you always you close set, or you, because within, if we're shooting a certain intimate scene, we'll have in two actors that are part of the scene, the camera guy, the director, and the sound person. Everybody else then has to leave, just for obviously respecting actors and also for their own comfort mentally and obviously physically. So we had to remove everybody from the scene, prepare what we needed to prepare, and then everybody leave, and then you only have the very 3-4 major people that need to be in that room at a time. And because it's a professional set, so you focus on what needs to happen in that time, and no comments, no uncomfortable anything, just so that you respect the two actors that are obviously vulnerable at that time and in that moment.
Okay. And for you, Dali, how
But I mean,
was
obviously
Well,
for Girly, you have to go like
Dali,
man for
how
you.
was it to play that scene?
well, I think for myself, my co-actor, um, he's a very we talked about it, and I think also before we filmed, or at least that one scene that my co-actor was in, it was obviously choreographed. Like the director, we got to set, and then we were told, but this is what's going to happen. You guys comfortable with that? And then with regard to the other scene where I was alone, she said, because the reality of the times was that unfortunately you couldn't, there's no way you can censor that, because that is what happened based on the research that we did. So I had to be that vulnerable, and I think I mentally prepared myself for that, because prior to that, um, I was just alone with the wardrobe lady, and then obviously she then walked me to the set. Then we were told where I need to be positioned, but during that time I wasn't talking or conversing, because obviously I had to retain, because I had to build up all of these emotions for that particular scene. So I wasn't really engaging with director. It was almost like an out of body experience. It's like it's you, but it's not you, because it's not Girly, it's Sylvia. So to retain that, I maintained my emotions and did not interact with anybody. So it was only at the time that I needed to go to set, once set was cleared, where I was in positioned, we blocked it off, and then we filmed it. Yeah, but it was really it. I think I felt very comfortable. My director and the crew, and my co-actor made it comfortable for me, so I was fine. Yeah, but I was mentally prepared for it,
Okay.
because I knew that the scenes were going to happen. So it's not something that you were caught off guard. And obviously, also the director had a lot of conversations with me and with myself and my other the co-actor, for us to discuss what's going to happen in the scene. So I was
Yeah.
mentally prepared for it. Yeah.
Okay, I see. Okay.
Yeah. I mean, yeah, it's really about having those discussions with the actor and be like, are you okay? Are you comfortable? This is what's going to happen. This is what's required of you. You need to be naked in this scene. Are you okay with it? Are you comfortable with it? And all of that stuff.
Yeah.
Really, just so you respect the people that are going to be in those positions, not just demand it of them.
Yeah. So it
Okay.
was a safe environment. Yeah. Yeah. I felt
Okay.
safe. Yeah.
So, Desiree, you are the director and also the producer of the movie. Um, what was the budget of the movie, and how long did it take to get the world budget of the movie?
Well, so Girly and I are both producing together with Michael. So Michael is the script, this writer, and also producing. So all three of us was really involved from the beginning of the conception of just like the whole thing. So I came up with the idea for the White Line in 2016, I think, and that was just an idea that I was working on, and then the two characters that I was working with, that sort of like that I had in mind. But then it wasn't until 2017 that then when and then we had discussed it, and it's like, okay, cool, what are you willing to do with the story? And it's like, no, let's do this. And then I met Girly. So I think from 2017, that we actually really set to be like, guys, this is we have this story, let's tell it. But at the time, we had a good budget when we started. We're like, cool, this is how much the budget was. It was high at the time because we looked at all the different elements that needed to happen within the production. But then obviously when we got to the Namibia Film Commission in 2017 with this great budget that we had, and they told us, sorry guys, we can only give you this much, which was really, really, really limited at the time. So we were like, okay guys, we can either wait and see if we can raise more money, or we can take at least a few scenes from the script and then create a trailer, sort of just to give a visual representation of what we want, and then also start to raise more funds. So in 2017, around I think October, that's when we shot the trailer. We shot it in 2 days with a very, very small budget. And then we released it, and we got some great feedback from the public. And then we took that same trailer back to the Namibia Film Commission and say, okay, cool. With the little money that you gave us, this is what we're able to do. Can you help us? So we can give us more money. We can sort of tell the whole story. But at the time, we also tried to raise money from corporate companies, from somewhere else, so we can raise because we were at a period, and it's not easy with a small budget to sort of tell it. So I think between 2017 and 2018, we were working to raise extra finance to sort of to have a good budget, right? So I think by early 2018, we had knocked on every door to knock on, and we have approached people that we thought that were able to sort of help us out, and we got a lot of no's. And so we went back to the NFC then and said, okay, we have tried here, what can you help us with? And at the time, NFC only has a very, very small budget for feature films, and is what we can give you. So, and it was really, really small also looking at it from a prospect of even a period drama, to be able to sort of successfully do that. But it was all we had. So we did a lot of the stuff ourselves. We did a lot of pre-production ourselves, location, hunting for locations. We used a lot of our own finances, in pre-production, having to find wardrobe, having to do all of the pre-production groundwork ourselves, between the three of us, before we brought anybody else on board for the actual production. So it was a lot of what we got in terms of the limited budget that we had, but then also a lot of our own personal finances that we put into the film. Even after we wrapped production, during post-production, during marketing, we had to do and use our own personal finance ourselves. So it took about 4 years to fully really complete the film.
Okay, that's a very long period.
But if you think about it, is it actually?
It has been a really great blood, sweat, and tears period.
Yes, blood, sweat, and tears. Yeah.
Okay.
And I think also because we were first-time filmmakers at the time, not like in the industry, but really having to take on a film project this way. All of us, we were all sort of new at that task. But so we had to really we knew what we wanted. We knew what we wanted the film to be and look like, and where we wanted the film to go. So even in those times where we didn't really know a lot of the stuff, at the back of our mind, we knew the picture that we wanted the day. So we pushed forward, even with the small and limited finances that we had at the time.
Okay. The movie has been selected in many festivals. How was the reception of the movie in those festivals? How was the reception of the public, of the jury, of all the people who watched the movie?
We first had a release at the Durban Film Festival, because I was a Durban Talents alumni in the part of the Talents Durban in 2018. So having to sort of come back in 2019 with a completed film and sort of obviously release that. For me, that was really, really cool. But we had some really great audiences, honestly, in most of the in a lot of the festivals. It's the ones that we had physically also attended. A lot of them resonated with the story. A lot of them really, it was a different part of learning about a country that they didn't really know about. have heard but not really know what's going on down there, and obviously having to learn a past about that. So that was really, really cool. So we had some great conversations after the screening with the audience. So we generally had a great reception, from the audience. And but I mean, obviously we also know that in terms of festivals, it also helps better if you have known faces within the film, because it draws in a great crowd. But because we were all new faces from a relatively unknown country, so it was a little bit challenging most of the time to sort of fill up the cinema, or get some type of just a different treatment from other films or other filmmakers that were a little bit more known within the industry, and that also had a bit more obviously known and recognizable faces in some of the festivals. But I had some really great experiences in some of the festivals that I'd gone to, even from the jury that I had spoken, especially Luke Film Festival for me was like really what I can say. Even just speaking to the jury was the first time I actually met the jury after the screenings, or after the renouncements of the winners of the competition, where you got to really get feedback from the jury and be like, this is how I felt about your film. So that was like the only film festival that I actually had that experience with. But most of them really was mostly just encounter with the audience.
Okay. And how did the Namibian audience receive the movie?
Oh, that was we were nervous releasing in Namibia, I think, because it has been such a long time coming. Because we released the film, we released the first trailer in 2017, and then like waited all of this time in 2020 to now release for the Namibian audience. So we were quite nervous to release in Namibia, because we were like, okay, cool. They obviously they know the
history.
history in a way, and so they would probably judge even more harshly than across the globe. So, but I mean, we had some really amazing feedback from the Namibian audience, honestly, from the premiere that we had in Namibia when we were getting ready to do the theatrical releases. But I think from the very beginning, when we released the first trailer, we had tremendous support from and love from the Namibian audience that were constantly looking forward to see the film, and were getting really angry with us that we were releasing from in every festival out in Namibia and not yet in Namibia. But once we did release, we got some really great feedback, and it was really worth it.
Okay. Girlie, we were talking about the reception of the movie by the Namibian audience.
Yeah.
Yes.
I think it was really well received. The feedback I received from people loved the movie, because I think also people waited for the movie for so long. And like Desiree explained earlier on, it even reached a point where people were like, okay, we're tired of you guys telling us you're screening at whatever festival. Like, when are you screening in Namibia? But obviously it was part of the strategy that we had taken, because we first wanted to do the festival circuit before we released the film out to the public. But it was well received. People loved it. Some people were angry, some people cried, some people had questions about the movie. Oh, did this happen? Is there going to be a second part? Is there going to be? Yeah, so it was well received. Yeah. And I think also internationally, not just in Namibia, it was pretty well received. Even the feedback that we got from the film festivals, it was, yeah.
Okay. So we are going to watch the trailer, and after we come for the last part of the show.
Okay.
En
Wat sal nou gebeur?
Vanaand lê ons hier. En môre kom die son op.
The story has just begun to fade away, but my heart has just begun to beat again. We are one, don't cross the line. Can we try?
Liewe Sylvia, ek is so bly dat jy die brief gekry het. En moenie verskoning vra vir wat jy geskryf het nie. Ek is so bly dat jy vir my vertrou. Weet jy, ek mis jou teenwoordigheid in my huis. Vir eens het dit nie eensaam gevoel nie.
Wat maak jy so laat uit met 'n kar vir my?
Die cover werk vir my suster. Ons het 'n laadfunksie gehad. En nou moet ek haar huis toe ry, daar in Katatura aflaai.
Kara kokure no bandumbo ba pabo. Kara kokure bekurela rukuru.
Ik was dom om te denken. Je is niet zoals die anders niet. Is niet zoals die anders. Nee, je is.
I'm crossing the white line. I'm crossing the white line. Hey.
Okay, we are back for the last part of our show. What about the title of the movie, The White Line? Why have you chosen that title? Desiree is gone.
Oh, Desiree came up with the title, so she should
Okay.
share her inspiration. Yeah, that's where basically the birth of the film came from. Yeah.
Yes, Desiree. I was asking what made she's gone again.
Okay.
Maybe it's the connection.
Yeah, I think it's the connection.
Okay.
Because the concept idea was hers, and I think it was most probably inspired by this whole idea of segregation. And also, if you look at how during apartheid, Katutura was on the other side of the railway line, and town, the suburb where the white people would stay was, if we're looking at Windhoek specifically, that's how it was. So I think for Desiree, I think it was inspired most probably by some of those realities that took place within the country and that level of segregation. And that's where that white line idea came from, I think, for her. Yeah. Because she
Okay.
basically came up with that title. Yeah.
Okay. I think she has a
Technical
an issue,
difficulties.
technical difficulties.
Yeah.
Uh, So we are waiting a little bit for her to come.
Yeah.
Hello, Desiree. Can you listen?
Can you hear us?
Nothing. I can't hear a single thing.
But we can hear you.
We can hear you. Technology,
Girlie,
eh?
how was
Yes.
we talked about the intimate scenes with
Yeah.
the co-actor, but what the collaboration with the other actors?
Oh no, it was great. Everybody was brilliant. Everybody was professional. Honestly, my energy with the other actors and even within the scenes that I wasn't a part of, I think it was beautiful. We had a stellar cast, like I think they're brilliant. Like, also, if you've watched the film, I don't think there's anybody that one could really kind of like say, oh no, this person didn't really bring their A game, but I personally feel everybody, it was an amazing cast to work with, because obviously also with acting, it's a give and take. It's about energy. So if you're acting in a scene with somebody and somebody isn't giving you that same energy that you need, the scene kind of then becomes flat. But in this regard, there was a beautiful synergy between cast, and I think also in terms of how, obviously in that regard, crew also made sure that we are all good. But I think from my perspective, I was really, really happy to work with all of the other cast members. I think they were all brilliant. I think the acting in this film was brilliant. So I had a great experience.
Okay.
Yeah.
That was the last question.
Okay,
I
cool.
wanted Desiree to answer about the title, but
Yeah.
it's like there's a big problem.
Yeah, technical difficulty on her side. But I
Okay.
think it makes sense, though, Rostand, in terms of if you're looking at apartheid and segregation, it's kind of like you're drawing a line in the sand and saying you
Yes.
can only go so far. You are not allowed to cross these boundaries. But then also at the same time, who is anybody to govern and try and control who people love and why they love, and even people into we can hear you now, Desiree. Like even
Can
interactions
you hear us?
between, oh well, sorry, Desiree. Maybe unplug the
Please
headphones and plug them back
remove
in.
the headphone.
Yeah, remove. She said she can't hear us, so perhaps I should type remove headphones.
Are you listening?
Uh,
Unfortunate.
yeah. And as
Yeah.
I was saying, Rostan, so I think it's looking at, like, you can't, because also you weren't allowed to go to certain spaces if you were black. Like, there were designated spaces where you could drink water as a black person, the toilets you used, the bench you sit in, the shops that you went to, like even the bread that you were allowed to buy, for example. So I think that's just like there's a clear defining line that was set to define that we are different. And the white people in this regard in apartheid were a lot more important than the black people. So that's
Yes.
where I think that white line, because obviously you need to draw a line that's visible for people to be able to see. So in
Yes.
this regard, I think that's what inspired the story or the title for her, because at least from what she told me, she said she was just watching the civil rights movement, and she's like, this title came to her. She's like, this is what I would like. This is a story that I would like to tell one day. So I think it makes absolute sense in terms of, or at least that's my interpretation of the title.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, we are at the end of our show. I'm very happy you accept to be our guest today.
Thank you so much for having us, Rostand. Really.
Okay.
Yeah, thank you.
Hope you had a good moment with us.
Yes, we
Uh,
enjoyed the conversation. Yeah.
okay, thank you.
Yeah.
So we are going to we continue to talk in inbox
Okay.
uh, and talk about other projects.
Yes, yes. Let's collaborate. Let's collaborate. Let's make movies together. Yeah, let's do that. Yeah.
Okay, bye bye.
Okay, bye, Rostan. Thank you for having us. Have a good evening.
Okay, thank you.
Bye.